Is your dog barking all the time? And I mean all the time? Then this is the video for you, because today I'm going to explain the different reasons why a dog might bark and how you might be able to change this behavior. I'm Dr. Orion, a veterinarian and a veterinary behavior specialist. There are a few main reasons that might cause a dog to bark nonstop. The most common one is actually fear. Barking is a way of communication. So your dog might be showing that he's afraid or anxious by barking at whatever the trigger is, basically trying to chase away that fearful stimuli. So that is why it's so important not to automatically punish your dog or try to quiet him down, because you can use it to avoid whatever the trigger is, or if not to avoid, then if possible to work on some desensitization and counter conditioning. That means that you try and create a positive experience whenever that scary stimuli or specific stillness is causing the barking. How do you do that? Basically, by giving the dog something that he really likes, something positive in his mind. And it can be treats, it can be your attention, it can be some sort of a toy, whatever works for your dog. But dog barks for different reasons as well. One of them is boredom. Yes, your dog can get bored, kind of like we do. And they can't just watch TV. They don't have opposable thumbs in order to click the remote. So what do they do instead? They bark. They look outside the window and just bark at whatever is coming or whatever is moving. And sometimes they even bark at things that they hear far away and you might not be able to hear. This type of barking might be sometimes a bit easier to treat. If you know that this behavior happens at a specific time of the day or a specific location around the house or outside or during specific situations, then you want to try and minimize the exposure to whatever might be leading to it. So I mentioned barking at someone that's walking outside the street. So you can put this frosting sticker on the window and reduce the exposure to people walking outside. But at the same time, you also want to create something that's interesting for your dog, something that will distract him or her from that barking that comes out of boredom. And you can do that by actually playing with your dog or giving them some long-lasting rewards. For example, a Kong toy filled with some peanut butter or some frozen food that will take him longer to consume. Also, you can drown the sound a little bit, the outside sound, not your dog sound, by playing calm music in the background. It's kind of like people having the sound of the ocean or of the forest in the middle of the night in the background. Personally, I sleep the best with some Megadeth or any heavy metal blasting in the background, but that's just me. Your dog might be much more of a Beethoven fan than Megadeth. Now, when we're talking about barking, we don't want to forget that sometimes they do it as a form of attention-seeking behavior. We accidentally reward the behavior and we go to them whenever they start barking, usually when they're still young, and very fast they learn that if they bark, we come to them and give them that attention, so of course they will do it even more. So of course we need to teach them that barking is not gonna get them that attention. Sounds pretty easy, right? Just ignoring. But I have to say that many times it's actually really hard because they already learned that behavior and it was rewarded so many times before that it's really hard to extinct. So kind of like what I mentioned with the boredom, you want to do the same things here. You want to actually create something different that your dog can do instead of just barking to get your attention. But yes, you do need to try and completely ignore the dog when he's barking, but you need to make sure that he's doing it for attention. If you're not sure, then you should get a professional to work with you. Now, and this is really important to know, if you started trying to extinct this attention-seeking behavior, but you break from time to time and give your dog the attention, you will make it worse. So it's really important to commit. And this is the last one I'm going to bring up in this video, but if your dog is barking for other reasons, please write it down in the comments, and there's a good chance that we'll do another video on those reasons. But the last one that I'm going to mention today is barking as a form of predatory behavior or even just as arousal. Now, this is different from attention-seeking behavior, and this is different from fear or anxiety or something like that, because in these cases, the dog just gets so aroused that he basically can control himself and starts barking. Now, you would think that a predator will be very quiet when he attacks or when he wanna grab some sort of a prey animal like a squirrel or a rabbit. But what can I do? Dogs were domesticated a long time ago, and they're not the best at hunting. I mean, it's not true for every single breed or for every single dog, but many of them will automatically get so aroused that they don't know what to do with themselves and they start barking. If you know what's triggering your dog, then you can also work in those cases on desensitizing. This is not always very simple because you can't control when and where the squirrel is going to be. If your dog reacts the same to a stuffed squirrel puppet or something like that, then you can try and use that to work on desensitization. But in most cases, they can tell them apart, and then it becomes a lot harder. Something you can try and use is the engage-disengage game. Basically, how it works is you have your dog look at whatever arouses him and whatever makes him bark and give him a treat. Yes, it looks like you're actually rewarding him barking at that animal, but this is just the first step. The goal is to create something consistent, that every time that your dog is seeing that prey animal, he's gonna expect a treat from you. And at some point when he is expecting it always, you actually stop giving the treat and wait for your dog to disengage from the prey animal and look at you. That's the engage, because he's engaging with the animal, and disengage with the animal looking at you, and then you're rewarding looking at you. And when he's looking at you, then you reward. Now, in many cases, not all, but in many cases, this might be enough to get him to actually look at you every time he sees a squirrel, even before barking, and then you reward it. Pretty neat, right? Do you have more questions or any other topics you would like me to cover? Please write them down in the comments. And in the meanwhile, if you're already there, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and reach people that would like to know this stuff the same way that you do. And in the meanwhile, why not check out this video next?